I mean, when you've been captured and you've been put in a cell for 25 years and you haven't seen the light of day and you can't even think about, what you're going to eat tomorrow, anybody pulls you out, you're going to be thankful for them. And that's where they are right now. They think that they're being saved. So they're happy. Time will tell if they see the light, if they see reality, if they see what I'm seeing. But so far, they think that he is their savior.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.
Welcome to the party, pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 408. I'm talking to Marialexandra Garcia. She is with the, what organization are you with?
The IALP, the International Alliance of Libertarian
Parties. Okay. And she's also born and raised in Venezuela.
Well, I wasn't raised in Venezuela. I was born in Venezuela, not raised in Venezuela.
Okay, you were born in Venezuela, but you've been in the USA for about 25 years.
This time around.
Yeah. So she's fluent in Spanish. She knows what's going on down there. She knows people. And we're going to talk about what's been happening with Venezuela. As of 9 days ago, Donald Trump sent in some troops and basically somehow got Nicolas Maduro and his wife and brought them back into the U.S. So, okay, Maria, well, what can you tell us about this?
Let me help you with my name. My name is Marialexandra. It's one long name, so it's actually not as hard as it sounds. It's Marialexandra, all put together.
Marialexandra. Okay,
there you go.
Okay, so I'm lazy.
And sometimes people need help. It's okay. It's a long name. What can I tell you? Well, so far, exactly what I thought was going to happen is happening. The Chavista regime is still in power. I don't care if you call him Maduro, whatever you call him. Maduro is just a puppet. He was not in charge. He was just the face. And the regime is still in power. They're strong arming people. People are very scared to go out in the street. The videos that Trump shared of people out in the street celebrating are old videos of marches that happened over a year ago supporting Maria Corina Machado, who Trump now says is not a leader and doesn't have the Venezuelan people's respect, which is insane to hear because she is the person we've been following for 20 years. She's the only person I've believed for the last 25 years. And so it's wild to hear him say that, but you can't believe or really understand anything he says. But so the regime is still in power. They said that they were going to release political prisoners. I believe they've only released, from last time I read, I think about only 9 people. They have not released everybody. Obviously, 9 people is not even close to the number of political prisoners that are currently under their hold. They have what they call the colectivos, which are call them what they are, the thugs that work for the government. They're out in the street, fully armed, checking people's phones to see if they're speaking in pro of Trump or the U.S. They're checking their social media. They're checking people are afraid. Nothing's changed. It just got worse for everybody who lives there. For some reason, I want to believe, or I want to try to empathize and understand what most people are feeling in Minnesota. I am in the minority thinking the way I'm thinking. People have been so desperate to get rid of the Chavista government or regime. Let's call it a regime because that's what it is.
Yes.
That they think that anything is better than having the Chavista regime in power. I just don't see it that way because I've read a few. So what's happening right now is we're basically on standby, seeing what happens. And now after last night, the king decided he's proclaimed himself the president of Venezuela. So now he posted on Truth Social last night that he is the president of Venezuela until further notice. I don't know who gives him that right, but that's what he said. He's already out in the open. We've all seen it. He's told the American oil companies to speak to him, do business with him, only go through him, not through Venezuela. And he's already said that the money that comes in from the sale of Venezuelan oil, not American oil, Venezuelan oil coming out of Venezuelan land, Venezuelan territory, will be used for American benefits and American interests to only purchase American products. I don't know how that's going to help the Venezuelan people. But somehow Venezuelan people in Venezuela and a lot of them here in Miami still think that that's better than the Chavismo. That you can imagine how bad that is. The exodus in Venezuela, Venezuelans are not known for leaving Venezuela. Venezuela is honestly, my personal opinion, the best country in the world. I'm very sad that I have not been able to live there. That I had to leave. I only lived in Venezuela after I graduated from college, went back to Venezuela, only lived there for 2 years and had to leave again because of Chavez. Um, I dreamt my entire life because I did not grow up in Venezuela. My dad worked for an international company, and we moved around a lot from country to country. So I've lived everywhere. My base was the US, but we always spent our Christmas and parts of our summers in Venezuela. And I grew up very Venezuelan in my customs, half American, half Venezuelan in my customs. And my dream was always to, once I graduated from college, to go back and live there and raise my kids there. That was obviously not something I was able to do. But Venezuelans are known for not leaving Venezuela. And in the last 25 years, we've had the largest exodus of Venezuelans. It's greater than the exodus from Syria. It is a serious issue, and it's because of what the Chavismo regime has done to Venezuela. And that's not about to change anytime soon. Now we just have Trump in the middle too to make things a little worse.
Yes. You're probably aware of Maria Oropeza.
Yes.
Do you know if she's out or not?
I believe she was released.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I believe that she has finally. I think that some of the Lola women have actually spoken to her, and I believe that she has been released. She's one of the few that has been released.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear because I know I should have checked with them, but I know because I know some of the Colombians, and certainly the Colombians are watching this because
Oh
it
well,
affects them more than anybody.
well, and Trump
Because
already.
Because most of these Venezuelans are going to Colombia.
Well, we're going anywhere. Anybody will let us in. There's a crazy amount of Venezuelans in Ecuador, in Colombia, in Argentina, in Chile, in Peru, in Spain. Most of my cousins are in Spain. The ones that aren't here in the States are in Spain. So we're spread out all over the place now.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, certainly they've spread out. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
cat.
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so now we've got this. Her name. What is her name? Delcy something.
Delcy Rodriguez. She's been. She's had like musical chairs, like in the Trump administration, the Chavista regime has played musical chairs. Last position she had was as vice president. She is now supposedly the acting president. Uh, Even though Maduro did not win the last election, that was proven by Maria Corina Machado in the most fabulous way. Uh, so, she's not even really a legitimate interim president, but, that's who they have, and that's who we have, and that's who is still calling the shots in Venezuela.
I'm not that optimistic either, just because I think some people are kind of naive about this.
Yes,
It
very
would,
much so.
it would just be like people say, well, if Vladimir Putin dies, and I just say to people, I said, okay, so what if he dies? I'm sure the Russians will find somebody who's even who's as bad or worse than he is.
Well, I'm just gonna give you a perfect example right down
I mean,
the
because
block,
the Russians want to live under an abusive
well,
government.
let me give you an example that's right down the street. Cuba. Fidel Castro died. Has anything changed? No, because it isn't one person.
Yeah.
There's one main leader. There's one head that does lead. Granted, Maduro is not that leader. Maduro was never in charge. Chavez was. Maduro was not in charge. Maduro is a puppet, and they removed a puppet. So when I say in 250 years of U.S. history, never has the U.S. invaded or walked into a country and left it better than it did before. They did before, and everybody says, "Oh, Panama." One, that's not true. Ask a Panamanian, not an American. Two, Maduro is not Noriega. You pull Noriega out, you actually took the head out. You take Maduro out, you did not take the head out. You took the sunglasses on the head that was in charge. And that changes nothing. So it's ridiculous in my mind. I feel sometimes that I'm watching a different movie than everybody else. That they think that by removing Maduro, something was going to change. It hasn't. It's just got
So
well,
who
it
is
has
the
changed. It's
head?
gotten worse.
Who is the head?
Well, there are several. It's not just one. There are several. Now, Diosdado Cabello has always been one of the strongest heads there. And Delcy Rodriguez, and her brother, Jorge Rodriguez, are very strong heads of that snake. Delcy Rodriguez and Jorge Rodriguez actually, Delcy Rodriguez has said it many times over the years. Her purpose in life is to avenge her father's death. He was a Marxist guerrilla man uh, who was killed, and she's said many times that she is here to avenge her father's death. She's not going anywhere, and she is one tough cookie. She is. You do not want to mess with Delcy Rodriguez. I'm just telling you, you do not want to mess with Delcy Rodriguez.
Yeah, and you especially do not want to mess with any woman who is avenging the death of her father.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Marxist guerrilla father. You can imagine how she grew up.
yeah, well, I always think of Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games. I mean, if you read the books, you get the impression that everything she does is to honor her father.
Well,
Yeah, but it's yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what do some people compare this to Panama, but for me, this seems more like the situation where the CIA went in and ousted Mossadegh in Iran back in 1953, and now we're just going to have maybe somebody who's a little friendlier to the USA, but a person who doesn't really care about civil liberties.
no, yeah, Delcy doesn't care. She only cares. You know what? She might make a good buddy for Trump. She only cares about her own pocket and her own interests. She doesn't care about anything else. There have actually been political prisoners who have some of the few that have been let out. One of them actually had his testicles removed through torture. This is what the Chavista regime does. A lot of the political prisoners haven't been freed because they're in such bad condition that they don't want to let them out and show the world what they've done to these people. This is what the Chavista regime does. This is who they are, and they're not going anywhere. It's not just 12 helicopters and pulling out one guy gonna change all that.
Oh yeah, it's not going to change on that. And I maybe I'm more cynical, but I say, this is just like a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
You take out one socialist leader, it's another. I mean, the ideas don't die.
it's a matter of education. This is Venezuela has been taken over for 25 years with an ideal, and I know several people who weren't born before Chavez, who didn't experience the Venezuela I experienced, that don't understand or have not had the opportunity to see a free Venezuela, and they don't see it, they don't understand it. It is it's 3 generations that have lived under this, and they don't see it, just like Cubans. My father is Cuban, exiled to Venezuela at a very young age. He left when he was 13. Uh, Fidel Castro had only been in power for a few months, so he didn't. Luckily, he didn't live what a lot of Cubans lived, but, which is why when Chavez won the first election, my dream was to live in Venezuela, and my dad's exact words were in Spanish, "No me agarran dos veces," which means, I'm not getting caught the second time. We're going now." We knew exactly what was gonna happen in Venezuela. I was living firsthand the stories of my grandparents, what they lived through in Cuba before Fidel Castro took over. I was living that firsthand. Every time I went home from college, I was seeing it. My brothers were in high school, and they were seeing it, they were living it, and it was very obvious, and I don't see how people don't see it now. I guess you have to either experience it, live it, or, have enough knowledge of history to see what's happening, and maybe not be as, I guess I'm fortunate enough to not be in the extreme desperation that most people in Venezuela are in, and they just want a knight in shining armor to come save them somehow, and, they're just falling for that, in that desperation, and they're not seeing what some of us are seeing.
Well, the other thing that I find challenging is, and I talked to, other activists in South America. So many of these people, they're great people, but they look at America and they think of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and James Madison. And I just try to tell them that's not America.
But
America is George Bush, Donald Trump, and Barack Obama.
that's who it is today.
That is America.
That is who it is today, unfortunately.
And that's the tragedy. I mean, there is no moral high ground anymore.
No, and the responses of people are very sad. I get a lot of, and I've seen a lot of, oh well, why are people complaining that Trump did this without congressional support or permission? But Obama could do it with Libya. I I bitched about it when Obama did it. I called Obama King Obama because he
Yeah.
went into war without any, without asking Congress for anything. He thought he could do whatever he wanted. And I said it then, and I'll say it again. It set a precedent. The minute Obama started removing press from the White House, I said, this is setting a precedent. This is going to backfire really bad. What are we seeing today? Well, now we go to war with anybody and do whatever we want in Congress. Who cares about Congress? And that does not one wrong does not make another one right. So just because Obama did it doesn't mean that what Trump is doing is right. So when I hear, but Biden, but Obama, I'm not here to defend any of them. I won't defend any of them. And I will point out what they've done wrong at every single opportunity. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. And I am not for one person. I am not for one party. I am for liberty, for justice, and human rights. And because Obama did it, or whatever Biden did, or whatever whoever did, just because they did it doesn't make this right. And what Trump is doing is right. It's fascist. I'm sorry. It is textbook fascist. And whoever doesn't see that and thinks I'm exaggerating, it's the same people who told me when I left Venezuela 25 years ago, oh, you're exaggerating. You're seeing it through Cuban eyes. Well, damn, I was. And I was right. Because history repeats itself. And when you don't know history and you're ignorant to history, it repeats itself and it hits you in the ass. And it pisses me off that people don't pick up a fucking book. I'm sorry for my language. It just frustrates me when people do not read history. They don't listen to the people who've already lived through it. The amount of people saying, this is what I lived through in X amount of X country. You read Anne Frank right now. Read Anne Frank again. Pick up the diary of Anne Frank right now. The first parts of the book, before things started to get really bad, are exactly what we're living in the United States today. When people were disappearing on the street, when kids were coming home and their parents had been taken away, that is happening in the United States today. Why aren't people seeing that? And the fact that he walked into Venezuela and just did whatever he wanted, killed a whole bunch of people on this out in the ocean, which people keep saying. I've heard so many people tell me, but they were bringing in fentanyl. Fentanyl doesn't come in from Venezuela. Stop regurgitating propaganda. Did you see any evidence these people were bringing in any kind of drugs? No. Then why are you repeating and regurgitating propaganda? There is no evidence. Since when are we allowed to kill people with no evidence and then call them guilty? Apparently, in Minnesota, that's what they do.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know that's. I do think in some respects, I think some people when they read the Diary of Anne Frank, or they read Solzhenitsyn, or they read Elie Wiesel, or somebody like that, it actually builds up this delusion that that can't happen here.
Oh, I heard that in Minnesota so many times. This what happened in Cuba can't happen here because, and there's always a reasoning, because Venezuela isn't an island, because the United States, because we have too much oil, because there were so many reasons why what happened in Cuba couldn't happen in Venezuela. Well, it did. So if you think that US is too big to fail, pick up a book. Pick up a book. How about you start reading about Rome? Pick up a book.
I do think though, I've often said though that I think we're probably more likely to go to a civil war than a dictatorship.
I don't
But,
know.
yeah. So anyway, who
I'm
was
sorry, we got off topic, and but it's everything goes together
who was
so
this
much.
other person, and who was this? What can you tell us about the guy that was in the presidential election? Where is he in all this?
Edmundo Gonzalez. Edmundo Gonzalez is in Spain. He's in exile in Spain.
Yes.
Maria Corina. He is the legitimate president of Venezuela. He won the elections. We have proof of that. The world has seen proof of that. And you can find it. I mean, it's public knowledge. You can look it up. You can look for it. It's been proven many, 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 many times through a lot of evidence. Edmundo Gonzalez is in Spain. Maria Corina, he ran for Maria Corina. Maria Corina was not allowed to run. She had been removed basically from any opportunity of running for office. She's been hitting the regime for over 25 years pretty hard until they said, you can't run for office anymore. So she's a brilliant woman, and she had Edmundo run for her. We all voted for him, and he won by a serious landslide, almost 80%. And he had to flee the country shortly after because they wanted to bring him in and torture him. So he was able to get out, and he is, I guess, I don't know what he's up to. I assume he's still working pretty hard on all of this, but he's, let's say, patiently waiting in Spain.
Yes. So, and one thing though, at least they can go to these countries and they don't have to learn a new language. So
Well, yeah, that helps. I mean, although Edmundo speaks English as well, so I believe he speaks several languages.
yeah. Uh, what? So what do you think? What do you think? How do you think this could fall? This could get brought down?
Oh, I don't have the knowledge to answer that question. I don't know. uh, I think this is so deep. It's gone in so deep that I think that a lot of education has to be brought in, a lot of opening of the minds, and I don't know how that could be done. I've for many years, when I was more involved in the Libertarian Party, I was chair of the Libertarian Party in Miami-Dade for 4 years. I said many, many times, we need to learn from the socialists. We as libertarians think that we could just come in and tell people, read a book, which is what I'm doing right now, and just assume that people will educate themselves and understand. And I think that socialists have been very smart in being very patient. Fidel Castro took many, many, many decades of a lot of patience of infiltrating Venezuela, uh, changing people's minds uh, through propaganda, and he got what he wanted. Decades later, but he got what he wanted. And that's what we need to do. We need to learn to be patient, uh, educate people, open people's eyes to what liberty is, what freedom is, what uh, what your rights are as a human being, and that you have a voice, and that just I've said this before, and I'll say this again. One person plus 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 one person adds up. So you're never just one person. Your little bit that you can contribute makes a huge difference in the overall game. And if we can all teach each other, help each other see how important liberty is and how we can live better lives with freedom, through freedom, that is our birthright. I think things would change, but I think that takes a lot of patience and many years. I don't think that just taking out the heads makes a difference.
The only person that I can see that shows that libertarian education might be possible is the president of Argentina.
I don't believe in him anymore either. I
Okay.
was I was a fan of Milei before he became president. I was a fan of Milei before most people knew who Milei was. And as a libertarian, I really was listening to him very closely years before, and I don't believe in him anymore. I believe that he is the fact that he's kissing Trump's ass
But
in several ways makes me think differently. I think that he has done some good in Argentina. My husband's family is from Argentina. He has done some good in Argentina, but I don't see it as something that can move forward beyond him. And I do see how he's leaning too far right, which for me affects human rights, liberty, and freedom. So I don't believe in him anymore.
I think, is it fair to say though that any president in the Western Hemisphere might have to kiss the American president's ass to a certain degree?
Well, you know why? That's why I'm not a politician, because I wouldn't kiss anybody's ass. If you
Yeah.
believe in what you believe in and you've got strong morals and ethics, you don't kiss people's asses. Especially, I mean, what would we say? What would we have said if some Western president or another president in Europe would have kissed Hitler's ass? That would have been seen pretty badly, wouldn't it? Winston Churchill. What would history say if Winston Churchill kissed Hitler's ass?
Well, that's true, but
Oh,
I think that's also countries that are of equal power, and I don't think we're dealing with countries that have equal power here.
I still don't believe anybody should kiss anybody's ass, much less somebody like Trump. I mean, he's a racist pedophile who's a thug and a mafia leader and steals from people, corporations, small businesses, countries, and you name it. He steals from them. So no, I don't. I wouldn't. But again, that's why I'm not a politician. That's why I'm not in politics anymore, and that's why I'd never be because I'm not willing to kiss anybody's ass.
As again to say, just like I would say, well, Trump will be out of office in a few years, but
If we have elections.
we'll still have 70 million people who make excuses for him.
If we have elections, he's already threatening to cancel the midterm elections this year.
Yeah, well,
And we've seen how he does whatever he
yeah,
wants because,
well,
supreme
what's
leader does whatever he wants, so.
yeah, I didn't want to get too much of Trump here, but I will ask, what is the impression of Trump in Venezuela?
Unfortunately, again, they see him as the white knight coming to save them.
Okay,
But not everybody, but I am in the very, very small minority. Most people just need a white knight to come save them, and that's what they're seeing in him is the blonde white knight that's coming to save us, to take this horrible thing away from us. Again, nothing's changed, but they keep dreaming.
yeah,
I mean, when you've been captured and you've been put in a cell for 25 years and you haven't seen the light of day and you can't even think about, what you're gonna eat tomorrow, anybody pulls you out, you're gonna be thankful for them, and that's where they are right now. They think that they're being saved, so they're happy. Time will tell, if they see the light, if they see reality, or I mean, if they see what I'm seeing, but so far they think that he is their savior.
Yeah. So so who else is who profits from yeah, who do you think is profiting from all this?
And besides Trump and
Yeah.
all his gang, well, the oil companies. The oil companies are having the time of their life. They
Who's
are only
profiting from it in Venezuela?
oh, in Venezuela, the regime, they're getting
Okay.
paid. You know they're getting paid. That's how they work. In Venezuela, we have a saying that says "Cuánto hay pa eso," which means how much are you giving me for that? What am I getting out of it?
Yeah.
And every single one of them probably looked into a CIA's agent's face and said "Cuánto hay pa eso," and they're getting what they want. That all they care about is lining their own pockets. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the land. They don't care about anything. They just care about their pockets. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of money to be made. A lot. I mean, again, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. And it's not only the oil. We have uranium, which is why Iran is and Turkey are in Venezuela. There's a reason why Russia and China are in Venezuela. The amount of natural minerals that are needed today for electric cars, computers, everything. We got it. You name it, we got it. Venezuela is an incredibly rich country, incredibly rich country. I don't know if I could say this with like pure knowledge, but it's one of the richest countries in the world for a small country the size of a little bigger than Texas. It's got everything. We've got beaches, we got sand, we got deserts, we got mountains, we got snow, we got we've got the only tepuis in the world, which we share part with Brazil, but we've got the oldest tepuis and the only tepuis in the world with animals that are prehistoric. We have the most amazing jungles. We got it all. And all of that comes with a crazy amount of natural resources and minerals and a lot of oil. There is something everybody wants from Venezuela right now and has for years, but now even more. So
Do
there's
you
a lot
think
of people profiting, a lot of people, but not the Venezuelan people.
do you think this could provoke a confrontation with China or Russia or both?
100%. 100%. And they are and I believe Trump is looking for it because, when they went into Venezuela 9 days ago, the Chinese government was in Venezuela at that moment. There was a group that was meeting in Venezuela at that precise moment. The Russians actually had their bunkers changed the flags on their bunkers to Russian flags, and the US took those bunkers anyway. Uh, yeah, there's a Russian base in Venezuela. Of course, this is gonna cause a
Yeah.
lot more than people think. This is which is the first thing I said the minute at 2 a.m. when a friend of mine, my best friend, woke me up that morning at 2 a.m. woke us up and said they're bombing Caracas. We woke up. I was texting everybody I could text in Venezuela, and the first thing I said was the geopolitical ramifications of this is what people aren't seeing. The geopolitical ramifications of the US going into Venezuela without any ruler of law, not caring about international law, not caring about the US law, not, wiping his ass with the Constitution. But not only that, the fact that we have China, Russia, Iran in Venezuela, and they're messing with all of them, this is going to cause a lot more than just Maduro leaving. This is much bigger than just Maduro leaving. It's for the Venezuelan people, that's all they see, that's all they care about, because, again, imagine being kidnapped for 25 years, you know, being held with against your will for 25 years. Anybody who comes to save you is going to be your hero, but they're not seeing everything else. What about everything else? We don't live in a solitary world anymore. We are all going to feel the effects of everything that happens everywhere, and this is something major. Major. And I'm terrified.
What impression do Venezuelans have of the Russians and the Chinese?
They know that they're just sucking on Venezuela and taking everything they can and want, because that's been the deal. The Chavista government, starting with Chavez, basically gave Venezuela away to the Chinese and the USSR. Well, not USSR. I'm crazy. What am I talking about? To Russia. Um, what wants to be again the USSR. Gave Venezuela away to the Chinese and the Russians years ago. They have basically permission to do whatever they want, take whatever they want, whenever they want. So I guess they just want everybody out, but that's not what's happening.
How was oil extracted before all this? I mean, I guess the government stole all the oil like in the 70s, right?
Well, the thing is, in Minnesota, the oil that you find, like if you find oil here in the States in your backyard, that's yours. In
Yes.
Minnesota, it's never worked that way. If you find oil in your backyard, that is Venezuela's oil, not yours. So what happens is that in the 70s, not Caldera, Carlos Andres Perez nationalized oil, and that changed everything. But then he negotiated with American oil companies where Venezuela was getting a percentage of whatever the U.S. oil companies got or sold or took out. Uh, Venezuela did get a percentage. That created a huge boom in Venezuela. And but then the price of a barrel changed drastically, but basically overnight, and that killed everything, and that caused just a snowball effect. Before that, I mean, Venezuela's history is very, very complicated. We've had several dictators throughout. In the early 1900s, we had a couple dictators. We didn't have democratic elections until the 50s, once again. And so the situation with oil has changed back and forth several times, but it's always been property of the country, not of person who finds it.
Yeah, which of course, yeah, and I think that's I mean, ideally the solution is property rights.
Yeah, that would be great, but that's not happening anytime
Well,
soon.
the other thing too is, in America, and you do have the veto power of saying, no, you can't drill on my land.
Yeah, you don't have that in Minnesota because
And people often have other benefits to it. For I had a distant cousin, the gas company, paved his driveway, stuff like that,
yeah,
because it would make it easier for them. It was just, there's a lot of benefits to that if they're,
yeah, none of that exists in Minnesota.
yeah, yeah. What happens in a lot of these countries is the government steals all this stuff and then they use all that money to have all these socialist giveaways. Oh, hey, everything's free.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't have to work.
yeah. That's kind of it. Although, Venezuelan people are known for being extremely hard workers because we don't have the facility of having oil just, in your backyard to make you money.
What have they done besides oil?
In Minnesota, like I've said, we have every single
But I
precious
mean,
mineral,
yeah, uranium and
gold, you
yeah.
name it, we got it. You
Is there
name it,
any
we
what
got
kind
it.
of manufacturing there or stuff like that?
There used to be. I mean, under the Chavez regime, the Chavista regime, all of that disappeared. And national products, like we don't have coffee anymore. We don't have sugar anymore. We don't produce anything anymore because is complicated, but it's the Chavista regime basically eliminated all national production. The farmers aren't farming anymore. People aren't producing anything anymore. We used to have many amazing industries, local industries, and they're gone. They're all gone.
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing else, and you got this amazing rainforest there where you can get all kinds of fruits.
Well, I mean, Caracas is, I mean, the part of Venezuela that is a forest or a rainforest is towards the south. The rest of the country is actually pretty developed, even though in
Okay.
most Americans' minds, that's not the way it is. And Caracas, for example, I'm from Caracas. Caracas is a very big metropolitan city. We don't have a rainforest in Caracas. It's a city,
Yes,
but
obviously.
it's a valley. It's like put New York in a valley. 'Cause it is a valley, so put New York in a valley,
Yes.
that's Caracas, and yes, it's very green, but it's a metropolitan city, but, businesses in Caracas aren't what they used to be, you don't have the same industries that you used to have and the prosperous businesses and small businesses that you used to have. That no longer exists.
Yeah. So, yeah, do you, what kind of play? So, do you think anything will change if Trump when Trump is out in hopefully in 2029 or not?
I haven't thought that far out. I'm hoping we get rid of him. Um, I have not thought that far out. I don't know. I don't think anything's gonna change in Venezuela for now. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong. I want people to tell me, "See, you were wrong." I would love that to happen because that means that Venezuela would actually be free. But I haven't thought that far out. I'm still trying to survive today's cuckoo messages that he puts up and, you know,
Yes.
I have to s I'm half here, half there, like, as a Venezuelan, I'm suffering what's happening there, and as an American, I'm suffering what's happening here and what's happening in the rest of the world because of us, and, so I don't have the brain capacity at this moment to think, 3 years out.
Yes. What exactly are you doing for IALP?
I am the interim treasurer at the moment and, helping to actually bring that organization together, put it together, and give it some structure because it basically been set aside and nobody was paying attention to it. So it wasn't really working as an official organization. And we stepped in, and the USLP, which as I, s- I as I say this, I hear the irony in what I'm saying. The US came in and took over. Um, we w as the part of the USLP, we are trying to give this some shape, give it some structure, give it some order, so we can start bringing in other libertarian parties from around the world where we can help them, support them, and help the ideas of liberty spread better throughout the world. So I'm there only temporarily, I don't wanna be there forever, and, just trying to give it some shape. We put together the Constitution and voted on it. We've just recently voted on our bylaws. Currently editing, or editing is not the right word. We're adding in and cleaning out our bylaws, making sure that we set a good, strong foundation for those who will come after, and help this organization grow and help liberty and ideas of liberty grow throughout the world. We will have a convention now in February, and hopefully, we will have several countries joining us. They're all fairly small parties around the world, but they exist, and we want to give them visibility, and we want to back them up and help them grow. And one of the things that we're also doing is trying to make sure that the parties that join and that we support are libertarian parties, not right wing parties calling themselves libertarians, which is, I believe, something that happened to our party here locally, happened to us with the national LP, and it's happened to several parties around the world. For example, in Georgia, the country, not the state, there are now two parties that call themselves libertarians. One of them is actually a libertarian party. The other one is a right wing party that is pro Russian. So that's part of the job also, is that we're making sure that we clean house and make sure that the the parties that we have joining and we're backing are
Yes.
really for the ideas of liberty and human rights.
Yeah, yeah. Got any comment on on the two Russian libertarian parties?
I believe, we do have, we're in conversations with one of them. Let's see how that goes.
Yes. So yeah. Well, that's sounds like that's good work. You got a good picture here on the where's that conference?
It's gonna be online because, it's everywhere
Okay.
in the world, so it's gonna be online.
Okay. Virtual conference.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll make it easy for everybody to get to it. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's people from all around the world, so it's a little harder, so it's easier if we just do it all online.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier. Yes, I know you don't want to have to go all over the world. Yep. Well, I don't know if there's anything else to cover with Venezuela here. Do you think there is?
I think we just have to sit and wait and see what happens. I hope to be very wrong with everything I think, see, and
Yeah.
believe, but, let's see. Let's see what happens. So far, I haven't been wrong yet, but I really hope I am.
Where can we find you out there?
I'm not very active politically anymore online. You can
Okay.
find my social accounts everywhere, but with my name. But I have, for my own sake and my own nervous system, I have stepped away from being too out there politically.
Yeah.
It's done great things for my health to step away.
Yeah.
But when I needed, I am behind behind the camera. I am I am there.
Well, go to buy me a coffee and give me money there. Please like the show, subscribe to the channel, check out my Substack, and go buy my novel, Escape from the Village. Thank you, Maria Alexandria Garcia.
You
I'm
got
Chris Baker. We're out.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.